Hello there, pretty people of the internet, and welcome to my channel. My name is Annika, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about mental health and dealing with stress as a student. I want to start off with the normal disclaimer that I am not a therapist, I am not a mental health expert. I am just talking from experience and being a student for 18 years, and I'm assuming that if you're looking up these types of videos on YouTube, you are looking for that anecdotal advice. I feel like dealing with stress as a student has kind of been talked about a lot more recently as schools and universities have kind of started to push different programs and stuff to help students decrease their stress. But I feel like that usually only happens during midterms and finals week and isn't a very good long-term holistic approach to dealing with the stress. It's kind of just a little band-aid on that very moment when most likely you're stressed a lot. I also think we have a fairly unhealthy narrative around being a student and being stressed, that it's kind of expected that you're super stressed as a student, that you get little sleep, that your eating habits are poor, that you're struggling with keeping up with your academic work. And while it can be useful to know that other people are struggling with the same things that you are, I don't necessarily think it's super helpful to have this idea that as a student you're supposed to be stressed, which is kind of what it has turned into. My first advice is to talk to a therapist. If you are very, very stressed in multiple areas of your life, or even if you're just a little stressed, talking to a therapist can be great. I know that all the universities I have attended have had mental health resources on campus, including free therapist and therapy, which has been very helpful during times of increased stress for whatever reason. Therapists at your school are probably also great because they deal with students all the time, so they have a lot of ideas about coping techniques and what you can do and what's available to you at your university because they work there and that's what they do. But they can also be great at putting you in touch with people outside the university system that can help you. The first thing you gotta do when trying to stress less is to figure out what's stressing you out. And I know it sounds very simple, but it's often not. I would often find that if I was very stressed about an assignment, what I was stressed about wasn't the assignment. I would spiral, so I would be stressed out because if I didn't do good on this assignment, then I needed a perfect score to do well in the class. And if I didn't do well in this class, then maybe I didn't do well in other classes, and that meant that I would lose a scholarship, or that I would feel that I was a failure as a student, or that my identity as being a good student, which was kind of what most of my identity was tied up in, would fall apart, and then who am I if I'm not a good student, if that's the one thing I define myself by? And that's kind of how everything spiraled for me. It often helped for me to think, why am I so worried about doing poorly on this? What's the real reason? What's the big picture reason? I know a lot of people also avoid thinking about this, but I would try to think about what is the worst thing that could happen. Because if the worst thing that could happen is not that bad, then I would stress less overall. Because if the worst thing that would happen would be, it's embarrassing, then I've done embarrassing things before and I can get through it. If the worst thing that could happen would be that I would lose my scholarship and not be able to pay for school, then I would take it a little more seriously because that's a real concern. Now that you've kind of figured out what's really stressing you out about it, try to figure out if it's something you can do something about or if it's something you just have to let go. For instance, if you're very stressed about the test you've already taken because you're scared of what your grade will be, that's not something you can do anything about anymore. So you have to either let it go or you have to figure out other ways you can improve for that class. Can you start studying earlier for finals? Can you do more extra credit work? Can you spend more time on your paper? Can you talk to your professor about if you can do a makeup test or something? That's kind of the let it go or try to fix it options you have in that situation. The next obvious thing you can do to stress less about your schoolwork is to do it early. We hear this all the time, but there's a lot to it. Right? If you have a paper that's due tomorrow, if you start now rather than at 8 p.m. tonight, you have more time for things to go wrong, for yourself to do better, for breaks, which are important, for sleep, which is important. If you start as early as you can, you give yourself a little bit of a buffer. And I know for a lot of people, me included, having that buffer can be very helpful for my mental health. Doing things early also means that you have to know yourself. I know some people, myself included, feel like I do certain things better under pressure, but I need to know what kind of pressure that is. For instance, I can write well under pressure, but I can't do all the research that I need to write whatever paper I'm working on under pressure. That needs to happen over a long period of time. Therefore, I am fine starting to write a paper very close to the due date, but I need to start the research a long time beforehand. I also want you to keep in mind that high productivity does not necessarily equal less stress. I think it's a misguided idea. Like, sure, being more productive and using your time more efficiently can mean that you open up more free time to do what you enjoy, but it also means that you might always feel guilty about not being productive. I know when I've been super productive, I feel like I need to be productive every single moment of my day, and that doesn't include things like reading or taking time to myself. That doesn't feel productive enough, even though it's so important for our mental health and our overall health and a good balance in life. So I just want you to think critically about the idea that higher productivity equals less stress, because that's not necessarily always true. I also want you to let go of any ideas you have about how you should study or what studying should look like for you. Because I think in your heart of hearts, by now, if you're at a university level, you know what works for you. This can change over time, it can change depending on the class, it can change depending on what kind of format you're being tested at, like papers or exams or whatever. But let go of what you think your study session should look like. When doing your schoolwork, remember that done is better than perfect. It's better that you submit an essay that's not the best you could do than trying to get it perfect and not submitting it at all. It always blows my mind when people are not submitting homework because they couldn't get it done on time or they couldn't finish all of it, because in most systems and situations you can get partial credit. If you really struggled with a homework assignment, it's better to submit the 6 questions you got and get points for those than not submit it at all because, well, you couldn't complete it. The next thing I want you to do is to take a close look at how you actually spend your time. You're probably spending it not the way you think you're spending it. You're probably spending a lot more time on things that are either stressing you out or unimportant and not getting you to where you want to be than you think. Take a critical look at how you spend your time and then let go of shit that stresses you out that you don't need in your life. This can be people, this can be activities, this can be anything really. If studying in the library around people who are stressed stresses you out, don't do it. Find other places to study that work for you. Taking good quality breaks is so important, both for your mental health and to be a better student. So you have to take them, but you have to be very aware of what your breaks look like and how you feel both when you take them and after you've taken them. Do you feel like you can fully relax, or do you feel guilty the whole time? Do you feel like you're coming back to your schoolwork with more drive, more motivation, or do you feel even more stressed out than before you took your break? The next thing I want you to do if you're super stressed out is to ask for help. For some reason, none of us want to do it, but it's like the easiest way to deal with almost anything in life is to ask for help. Ask your professors or teachers if they have any tips on how to do better in their class, if there's any extra work you can do as an extra credit to boost your grade. If it works for you, study with friends. Change up the place you're studying. Ask a friend if you can study at their place, or if you can do like a FaceTime or Zoom meeting where you have each other there but you don't talk, just so you have some sort of accountability for your studying. Ask the study center for help. I went to our academic success center when I had like 4 weeks left of my undergraduate's degree because I felt stuck and stressed out, and I just needed someone to sort of calm me down and give me a list of ideas that I could try. Being a student doesn't mean that you always have to worry. It doesn't mean that you always have to be stressed out and get little sleep, but you have to make a lot of very conscious decisions in order to get to a better place. If you need more help and advice with specific issues with studying and being a student, make sure to check out my other videos. I have videos about taking notes and how to cram when you don't feel like it, how to memorize things, making revision plans, everything in between. Make sure to leave your favorite technique or tip or advice for stressing less as a student in the comments down below so we can all help each other out. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want more videos like this. And have a great new year. I hope the spring or winter semester of 2021 will be your best one yet. Best of luck. Bye.